Is that you doing the clapperboard?
Yeah.
God, dude, I love Hollywood.
What?
I love Hollywood. Scoot doo, blabbity blue, scoot dee. Oh yeah! Hair's looking good, man.
Thank you so much. All right.
Rick. Here's how it works, my friend.
I've never seen this.
And your partner, Dave.
Oh man, of course it's not working.
God, look how good you look.
Thank you.
Is that the same? You got the same T-shirt on?
I have. This is the only shirt I wear. I have 5 of them. I put other stuff over it though.
You like it, you know?
Yes, I do.
Have you still got that cardigan? Do you call it cardigan here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
Do you remember when Ron, do you remember that?
Of course. Hold on, let's play this first though.
Oh, dude, I watched the pilot of this again the other day.
I just started the pilot. Yeah.
Fuck me.
My cousin Danny and I watched last night. I never watched The Sopranos.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm only 2
Oh,
episodes
it's the
in.
best.
Could you see this okay? You're gonna have to do
That?
it here.
Yeah.
Rick. Here's how it works, my friend. You and your partner, David Fynn, who is backstage and cannot hear us, will have a combined 40 seconds to answer the exact same test. Whenever you lock in and stop the clock, whatever time is remaining is all that your partner will have left to answer. If only one of you gets it right, you get out of $1,000. But if you both get it right, your charities get
$100,000.
$10,000. $10,000.
Right then.
Do you remember this moment?
Vaguely. The thing I remember is Ron.
Oh,
from that
go
night.
ahead.
And I also...
So this is our friend Ben Glebe. He has a show called Idiot Test.
Yeah.
And it's a game show on the Game Show Network. And they had David, Brent Morin, Ron Funches, and myself on, all the cast of NBC's Undateable, which we're hoping gets a 4th season. Let us know.
Fingers crossed. They've still got us on hold.
And so tell me what you remember of this?
So the overwhelming memory I have of that night is A, the best conversation of all time about hair loss. Which was a conversation we had every day on set of Undateable.
Every one of us is terrified of it.
Yeah.
Some more realistically than others.
And something happened where Ron answered a question too quickly or something, and it messed with the system, but he got it wrong, and they were like, oh, it didn't work on the thing, you have to do it again, but because you got the wrong answer, you have to press the same answer that you did. He was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. And then he wanted to do it again, but win. But Ben was like, no, because... Was it that?
For some reason, I feel uncomfortable even talking about it.
Oh, why?
I don't know.
I can definitely see where Ron was coming from. Was it that? Is that what happened?
I don't remember what the problem was, but I do remember there was a problem with something, and Ron got angry, and then he doubled down, and then they asked him to do something. I think they said, just push the button so we could do like a cut to of this later, and it wasn't what really happened, so he's like, no.
Yeah.
And then it got like weird, and the production was on hold for maybe like 10 minutes waiting for Ron to do this thing.
Yeah.
And then he got a little loud, and I just remember you and I were like, we're not going to yell at, we're not going to say Ron, we got to be on Ron's team.
Yeah,
there.
we got to back Ron up.
But also like relax, just push the cotton candy, dude. And then it was just weird. And then at the end of the night, when we all got back in the car to leave, I just remember Ron in the back seat went, hey guys, I kind of lost my cool. I'm sorry. And then it's like, oh, okay, we're all okay again. We're all okay again.
Yeah. But I mean, my instincts, like when I saw him doing it, I was like, oh, if I was in that position, I'd love to double down on it, but I don't have the balls. So he just showed he's got giant balls.
Yeah.
Good for him. I have tiny, tiny balls.
Do you really have tiny balls?
Yeah.
You're not talking about courage. You're talking about the size of your testicles?
Yeah. Tiny.
Huh.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, so the setup...
Why am I wearing a tie?
Television.
Looks terrible.
I think you look great, man. You're dressed up.
That's so not an appropriate shirt to wear a tie with, and the tie clip.
I disagree. We're going to have you guys take a look at our bonus content, check it out, and see, and vote yes if you like his tie clip. No.
Hashtag bonus content.
So
I spat on myself there.
So David and I were teamed up against Brent and Ron, and we won. So we got to go for the ultimate prize of $100,000 or $10,000 for charity, blah blah. And the game was, I have to do this, solve a riddle. We have, I think, 30 seconds or a minute total between the two of us. I have to solve a riddle. You're in the back, and then I go hide, and then you have to solve a riddle. And if we both get it right, we win. You don't know what I guessed, and we don't know what the right answer is. So here is us finding out. I can't believe you haven't seen these yet. I think this is so fun.
If you both got it right, you will have won $10,000. Question said, which word comes first in the dictionary? What did you do, David? Tell me what you did.
Well, A is a word, so I pressed A. The coin, the co-op, the collect, the collide are all red herrings, as is the picture of the Colosseum.
We have words on top of these perches, on top of these columns.
A comes before C.
No, but you understand the word coin, out of the words presented to you, the word coin. Obviously, we're going for a full word, for a word that can be used in multiple contexts. You want to go coin.
Why does one word have to be multiple contexts? A dinosaur is no longer extinct. I have a stomach ache.
A,
the worst.
Look how happy I am.
Calm
I'm
down.
like,
You won
get him,
$10,000.
Rick.
There it is. That's some charity money right there.
Yeah.
The charities, the Red Cross and PATH. $10,000. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you.
Cut to 20 or a half hour before that, and we're just in mirrors panicking about hairlines and crowns.
Yeah. Oh my god. That was great though, backstage. That was one of my favorite memories of doing Undateable that night.
The
And
game
we were
show.
all just fucking backstage, just me, you, Brent, and Ron. It was great.
Yeah. So, David, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I've been doing podcasts for about... You want to move the tray closer to you?
Yeah, maybe.
I have a tray set up because...
Rick made me a delicious protein shake.
And I if it fell on the floor, I would be done for a month. So I need to make sure that there's trays around. So, David, I've been doing podcasts for... Have you done a podcast with me before?
Not with you, no.
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 I've done so many over the past 4 years, and I've never posted them.
Okay.
And now I'm like, you know what? It's time to start posting them. I've done about four of this version of this podcast so far. You're my fourth person, and each time it's been a different title. I still don't know what I'm doing. Oof, excuse me.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident I've come up with a title, and here it is. And I'm glad you did it. Take Your Shoes Off with Rick Glassman.
Nice.
Yeah, for the same reason the trays are important to me, my rugs are important to me.
Yeah, it kind of gives the impression that it's like, welcome, come in, take your shoes off. But it's not. It's because you're so fucking neurotic.
It's not, they're not mutually exclusive. You're getting me good. You're getting me good. You're doing good me. It is a little bit of both. It's first, hey, will you please take your shoes off and get comfortable? And if they say, no, I like my shoes on, it's like, yes, but first.
Take them up. Yeah.
Yeah, is that what it is? Is that your Jewish impression?
No, that's my impression of you.
Let me hear you
Don't make it.
Let me hear you do an impression of me and then compare it to a generic Jewish impression that you have. And I'll guess which is which.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What a poison chalice of a challenge. Well, that's is you.
Right.
And then generic Jewish impression is like, oh, hey, David, how's it going?
Great.
That's
Perfect.
my friend John. He's Jewish. And
Way to
I
handle
saw
it.
him. Yeah.
Dude, you know how to do this.
Sounds.
A poison challenge chalice. I mean, you just have a way with words.
A poison chalice of a challenge.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a fantastic speaker.
Thanks, man. Oh, so good, that protein shake.
It's good, right?
Yeah. Proud, bro.
All right, so we met doing television. The show got canceled. We've remained friends, and the rest of our lives is about to be downhill or uphill. Downhill sounds uphill is the good one, right?
No, uphill's hard.
Yeah, uphill's hard, but you want your life to go uphill, not downhill.
I think if you're using the hill as an analogy, you're inevitably going to be getting. It's going to be complicated.
Well, life is
Because an
complicated.
uphill struggle is making it sound really difficult.
An uphill battle is also difficult.
Yeah.
But going downhill is getting worse and worse and no longer the king of the mountain.
Oh, that's true.
So what would you rather be? Would you rather the rest of your life be going uphill, where it's a bit of a struggle, but things are getting better and better, or downhill, where it's a coast, but you're getting fat and ugly and, you're not working?
Yeah. But I guess if you're going uphill, you're going towards something. So
the rest of your life is going to be uphill.
things you can
Going
just-
up. I think you
and
can't
up.
say, yeah.
Yeah,
I
things
think,
are on the up and up.
Yeah, up is good, but once you add the hill to it,
Yeah.
it becomes work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now things are, great. Things
Cool,
are
man.
great with us.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that thing that you did yesterday with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Do you Was that the right guy?
Yes.
So you actually have pi memorized?
Yeah. So that was last year.
Right. Okay.
And I had it memorized for a couple months. I had just under 100 digits memorized, 90 some digits.
3.1415926358979323884197169399.
When did you start to do that? When did
Well,
you?
it was on that Pi Day. It took me like 40 minutes. I bet you I could do it again now. I just don't know how exciting that will be.
Because when I saw you do it, I was like, oh, he's reading that.
No.
And I thought you had it in two because your eyes were doing that.
I made a point to have my eyes go different ways. No.
Right.
No, I'm really good at memorizing numbers. IRGAMNs.
Why did you decide to memorize pi?
It was Pi Day. So I was just looking at pi and I was seeing how far I could go. And I noticed that I got to like 20 pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then I just spent, 45 or so minutes. And then for the next month, I was going up to people with pi,
Right.
saying, watch this. So yeah. Pi, I know pi, dude.
Yeah, man.
So David,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know this about you.
Okay.
But you actually have little balls. No. People think you're English because you have worked so much over across the pond. Now, when I say across the pond, does that to you read as the UK, England? What does that mean? Because Ireland is not the UK.
Ireland is Southern Ireland is not the UK.
Northern Ireland is?
Northern Ireland is considered part of the UK.
Still?
Yeah.
Even with Brexit?
Even with Brexit, yeah. And it might even be more. It might be solidified with Brexit if they.
Now, when you say solidified,
Well, there used to be a thing called a hard border. This is nitty gritty stuff. There used to be a hard border there where they'd have border checks and armed guards and all that
between
stuff.
North and South Ireland?
Yeah.
Like Korea?
Yeah. And then in the mid-90s, they came to an agreement where they were like, we don't need that anymore. Things are kind of starting to even out.
What happened in the mid-90s? Lower your microphone a little because it's
They
blocking
did
your face.
they did like a peace agreement where the IRA and the government, they sorted out. So the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, fighting for the South to be unified with the North. This is complex political stuff that I don't know too much about, so I don't want to say too much.
Well, make
But
it,
this is the essence of it is that part of Ireland belongs to the UK, and the IRA didn't want it to be part of the UK, so they were
the IRA, which is the Internal Revenue Association.
That's it, yeah, or the Irish Republican Army. So the IRA have wanted it back, and they were like, no, we're not giving it back.
Cartman is in control of this.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a hard border there, in order to kind of make sure there was no kind of. There was a lot of like bombs going across the border and stuff, things like that. So they were trying to prevent that. You fucking ass, dude. Basically, Brexit might mean that there might be a hard border there again.
There you have it.
Yeah, so that's it. So Ireland, Northern Ireland, England, Wales, and Scotland are the UK, and Southern Ireland is not.
So David worked across the pond on, dude, when you talked about that stuff, I had so many feelings. It
used to be really bad all through the 70s and 80s. It was terrible.
Why don't I know anything? What is that something that how am I supposed to empathize with that? What am I supposed to offer you right now? Is that something you had to live through?
Not really. I lived through seeing it and being really aware of it because I come from an Irish family. But there were bombings in London in the 80s. I remember things happening in the 80s. I remember the bombings, and there was a bombing in the Shankill Road in Northern Ireland. I remember all these events happening.
How old are you when this is happening? This is the 80s. You're 6.
80s and the early 90s. It was like, I think it was 95 or 96. There was the Good Friday Agreement, I think was. Yeah.
When did you leave Ireland?
When I was 3 or 4.
And you left because?
Because all the building work was in London. My dad and his brothers and his dad were all involved in the building trade. But that was a bricklayer.
That's a cool story.
And there was loads of influx of Irish manual laborers in the 80s.
Yeah, it seems like that's a very Irish thing.
Yeah.
Is building.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think that because of Good Will Hunting, and in Boston they're construction workers. So is there any correlation to this?
No.
I'm going to ask you again, and I'm going to give you a little more
Are we
information.
going to cut out the no? And then I'll just say yes.
No,
next time.
I'm wondering if I could maybe...
I think Irish working class manual labourers, yeah, maybe there is a... Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, a link to that.
That face that you make that I see all the time.
I
that
can't
love.
help do it. It's still so ingrained in my comedy.
You know what I'm going to ask you?
Yeah.
What am I going to ask you?
Where is that from? Is it a Ricky Gervais thing?
Is it a Ricky Gervais thing?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
He's the guy that started it.
Yeah.
How crazy to have just a face that belongs to somebody. It's such a small, subtle thing.
Well, the white man overbite, the first reference I have in my memory of that is Billy Crystal in When Harry Met Sally. When he's talking about dancing. We're going to dance. We're going to do the white man overbite. And he does that.
Right.
But Ricky Gervais maybe stole that for The Office, for the David Brent character. And he does that thing where he looks down the barrel and he's like...
Yeah, but there's a certain way that he does it that is different than
So
Harry Met
smug.
Sally. Yeah, it's so smug.
It's the smugness.
You're a big fan of Ricky Gervais.
Love him.
Do me a favor again. I'm sorry, but if you could turn the microphone down. Actually, you could pull it down. Yeah, and then angle it up because for the video, if you bring it
That
down,
was clowning at its best, dude.
yeah. So bring it down a little bit more still, and then angle it up. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can still bring it down more.
See, this is where your experience as a stand-up comes in. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you out.
What's wrong with that?
It's nothing's wrong with it. It's just blocking your. It's kind of blocking your face a little.
That's not been recording.
Correct. So it is now. Good. All right, we're gonna take it from the top. How you guys doing? My name is Rick Glassman.
Let's watch this clip.
So, David, you're from Ireland. You move at 3 years old.
Yeah.
Your whole family moves.
I think it started with my grandparents, and then the kids, the siblings, my dad and his siblings went. Yeah. And they were all laborers.
Everyone's a laborer.
Yeah.
Anybody in your family still a laborer?
My uncle was for a long time. He was a plasterer, and then he now, what does he do? Something about old expensive doors, but he does really well. He makes loads of money. And my grandfather is 80 this year and is still the most active. Like, he built a bungalow in the back garden of my auntie's house like 2 years ago, basically on his own. Yeah.
Don't you have a half brother?
No.
What? You're an only child?
No, it's me, my brother, and then I have a half sister.
You have a half
But we
sister?
don't really, I just see it more as a sister.
I've never met. Oh, I have met your brother.
Have you?
Yeah, didn't I? No, maybe I didn't meet him. He never came to a taping.
No, he hasn't visited.
How's your relationship with your brother?
Great. Yeah, really good.
And your
We're very
sister?
close.
Your sister is not. Is
yeah,
it on your mom's
no-
side or dad's side?
What do you mean?
Well,
So my half sister is my stepmom. I was like,
when you said what do you? I was thinking like, oh,
Well,
is she literally a half? Is she like
usually
a half a
both.
person?
so yeah, she's the daughter of my stepmother.
So it's, you share a father.
Yeah, but she's great. But I moved out when she was 3 or 4. I moved out when I was 18. So and also living here, it's hard to kind of maintain a close bond. But
Your brother's older or younger?
He's right in between. He's 7 years younger than me.
It's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, but we kind of went traveling around Thailand and stuff together, and yeah, we're quite close.
I know a lot of people that went to Thailand, and every one of them,
Don't shut up about it.
they do talk about it a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But they talk about the women that they slept with there.
Right.
That's a thing. People that white guys go to Thailand to have sex with Thai women.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I was with my now wife at the time.
Okay, why don't you answer that as a multicam?
I didn't. So I didn't. But yeah, there is a kind of thing of a load of kind of middle-aged fat white dudes going out there and sleeping with young Thai women. Yeah.
Yeah. So when people go to Thailand, what are you doing in Thailand?
I learned to scuba dive.
You learned to scuba dive
out there. Yeah. Just traveling around, trekking through the jungle, riding elephants.
How old are you when you do this?
I was 26, 25, 26.
25, 26, born in Ireland, went to London, did nothing.
Did nothing in London.
Did nothing.
No.
And then you went to Vietnam to fuck some Korean girls, you said?
Well, not just girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
David, I gotta tell you where I'm at. All right. To get up and to see that the camera wasn't going, which also, who gives a shit? I don't even know if I'm posting video.
Yeah.
But it's just reminding me of how much obligation I have as a host right now, and there's certain things I want to say that I don't know if are appropriate.
But you can edit that shit out later.
I'm not going to edit any of this.
Well,
Cut to, it's just tons of production, music, and
yeah.
Yeah, I know, man. It's just podcast. Like when you and I kick it, we shoot the shit and it's fun.
Yeah.
But now basically,
You're in your head.
Man, no, I just don't have it. You know, like I just don't have it. If you were here and we weren't doing a podcast, I'd say let's watch episode 3 of The Sopranos.
Yeah.
But now I got to be like, you know what? Here's what it is.
Okay.
Here's what it is, and this is something that I've been working on in my actual life.
Yeah.
When you talk to people, you have to do things. Because right now I'm not just having a conversation with you. I am allowing people into us.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel myself selling, or at least wanting to sell, a certain thing. Like earlier when you were talking about Ireland and the bombings and the blah 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 boring.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to go, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, no, tell me. I gotta do that.
So is that Brexit?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do was take out my cock and just go and hope for a laugh.
Yeah.
Where's the middle ground? Where could I still be myself while also not being like, wow? Because I'm sure people at home are listening to this on their way to the dentist. Because that's, are thinking, I was wondering about the borders and, why did he have to go ahead and take his dick out?
Well, you could just do what you just did and not get your dick out, and just anytime it could be like a thing, like a noise that you call back to. So whenever there's a guest speaking and you're finding it boring, in production and post, you can just make that noise.
I do it in post.
Yeah. But you could just do it there. So anytime, but instead of just getting your dick out, just do that, because it's still just as insulting and upsetting for the guest.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Like there's things I want to talk to you about, but also there's a structure I need to have.
Okay.
So like here's what people.
So you're still trying to figure out the structure?
As if there's something to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I want to know. Outside of the podcast.
Yeah.
I want to know how to talk to people. Because if I'm talking to somebody and they're not entertaining or of interest to me,
Yeah.
I am either going to overcompensate with bits and bother them, but I'm surviving.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to just zone out.
Okay.
And it's just tough to some relationships that I have in my life, I do believe suffer or have suffered from my lack of interest in that person.
Okay.
So,
well, yeah, of course, because you have to have an interest in someone to want to be around them and to be their friend.
But we can't pick. You could pick your nose and you could pick your friend's nose, but people are boring sometimes and you have to be around them. Yeah, that was very upsetting. It was also louder than I realized it would have been, and I didn't like it at all. Maybe I'll just snore. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I hated that.
Or maybe you just keep it for you.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it.
Or maybe just do one every time you do a podcast and just film the reactions and just see what the variety of reactions would be.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And if you do it out of nowhere as well, like people are crying about like, yeah, it was just so hard, when so-and-so died, and then you do it.
Ooh, that's a tough one. When someone tells you somebody died, I have a weird thing about saying I'm sorry if I feel I didn't do something wrong.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Fonz, but a single cam version of it.
Right.
So, like, I like to say thank you for your patience instead of sorry I'm late, for example.
Right.
And
is that because you're in a position of weakness and you're trying to take back some of the power?
No, I don't have a problem apologizing if I feel sorry. Let me give you an example of that. If I'm supposed to be at your place at 2:00,
Yeah.
and it's 2:05, and I'm running a little late, dude, I'm so sorry I'm late. I was blah 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 blah. I should have been here on time. My bad. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But I also want to acknowledge the fact
You
that
sounded so Italian there, by the way.
Thank you.
The Sopranos.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not that too bad. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Here's another thing I don't know how to do. Okay. Oh boy. You are getting me with my own medicine, and I got to tell you something. I am getting sick from it. So if I'm a few minutes late, I think it's important to acknowledge it, because for me, if somebody is telling me they're going to do something and they don't, I'm not necessarily mad, but like acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So I'll say, I could say sorry, I'm a little late, but what I prefer to say, which is the truth, I was a little late. Thank you so much for your patience. Thanks for being.
That's
cool
actually
with me.
refreshing, and it's kind of nice.
Yes,
Because you're acknowledging my feelings, and you're not just kind of going, this is the social norm. I'm so sorry I'm late.
it adds a couple other layers that I find.
Yeah.
It also takes away the victimization that I'm putting on myself of making it about I did this thing wrong, as opposed, and which is making you, or it's putting you in a situation to forgive me. And it's okay. Don't worry about it. And I'm putting something on you, as opposed to, instead of saying I did this, am I okay? I'm so sorry that I was a little late. Are you mad at me? Instead, it's going,
So hot when you
you're
do
the
that.
best.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being so very kind.
So hot again.
Hot?
Yeah, both versions of what you just did were really hot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. All
Oh,
coquettish.
you're burning? Are you burning me?
No,
Are you
no. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you're saying it's like kind of like
Yeah, and then you
like an
do-
innocent little baby. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah, but
not
yeah,
a baby, but innocent. Innocent. Thank you for understanding.
Coquettish.
Yeah, I know what that means.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find that thanking somebody is better than apologizing. There are moments for it, but there's certain obligatory things that we have to do, not because that's our intention, but because we're manipulating the other person on how we feel.
Yes.
One of the big versions of this that I struggle with is opening the car door for a girl when we're coming from the driver's side. If we're coming from the passenger side, hop in, I'll make a little joke, but keep your arms in the vehicle at all times, okay? And then I'll walk around. But if we're coming from the driver's side, it's a lose-lose, because I either get in the door and she's thinking, this guy's not a gentleman.
Yeah.
Or I'm going around and I always project, I feel that whatever I'm thinking, everyone's thinking. So she's thinking what I'm thinking. Oh, he's just doing this, so I think he's a good guy. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So what am I supposed to do? So I say, hey, I'm going to get the door for you because I know I'm supposed to. But is this something you like?
Yeah, and I think we're going into quite interesting territory in that this is a conversation that is being had a lot. And it's also things like...
have conversation had a lot.
in the last year, the way things have kind of started changing.
You're saying with me?
No, the relationship between men and women,
Oh.
and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. For example, this whole like, oh, you don't hug people at work. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I hug everyone. Maybe I shouldn't. And then I was doing a work project with someone the other day, and this girl said, I'm going to hug you now to say goodbye. And I was like, oh, that's kind of nice that she said it. It gives everyone permission. But I think that kind of falls into that arena a little bit, the door thing. It's also quite an American thing. We don't really do the car door thing.
But you
in the
guys do
UK.
kiss on the cheeks.
We do kiss on the cheeks.
Your cheek kiss is our door open.
Right, okay.
It's a sign of respect, but to me, it's an apology instead of a thank you.
Right, okay.
It's the girl has to wait. Oh, thanks for... I'm basically telling her to thank me. Look what I just did for you.
Yeah, I think if you have to run around, it's maybe a bit much. If you're on that side, yeah.
I always say, if we're on the passenger side, it's my pleasure.
I'm not running for you, though.
Yeah, well, I don't say that part, but that is what it means,
Yeah.
If it's on the passenger side, it's my pleasure.
But maybe that's a bit weird that you're saying that.
Listen, man, I have autism. I have to survive.
Have you talked about that yet on this
I
stuff?
have not.
Okay.
But there's nothing private about it.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's not my autism to give the world, though. It's your autism to give the world.
Well, it's our autism. And it's up to us to acknowledge its existence
love that.
without apologizing for it.
I love that. Can
Me
you write
too.
it as a joke in something? It's
Yeah, sure.
autism?
Yeah. Yeah, when you're in a relationship
It's not autism.
Yeah, so as a person with autism, if I'm in a relationship with a neurotypical person, it's true that it's not just my autism anymore. It's ours. And
I love that.
yeah.
Do you think that with that in mind, do you think that that's you give all this other stuff too much thought?
I mean, too much thought
Because you're
is a
figuring it out.
derogatory way of thinking of it.
Right,
Because
okay.
like it's like I don't think people give enough thought to it.
But do you think you give it more thought than a neurotypical person?
Yeah, I give it too much thought.
Right.
Yeah. So one of the common symptoms of autism is a difficulty in understanding that people think differently than you.
Right.
That doesn't mean a way of being able to compromise or appreciate somebody else's opinion. Quite literally, like I said earlier, if I'm thinking this thing, you're thinking this thing.
Yeah.
It got me into a lot of trouble as a kid because I always thought I was this hilarious, charming guy.
Yeah.
And because if I'm being funny, I'm hysterical.
Yeah.
And then I found out at 30 years old that I'm autistic and I just bother everybody. And I had no idea. So one of the things I've been working on is recognizing, okay, I think this way doesn't necessarily mean the other person is.
Yeah.
And that's why I ask the questions. That's why I ask on a date, when I get the door for you, how does that make you feel? Kind of like a third grader when you were taught how to explain and empathize with feelings. And some girls say, I think it's nice. And some girls say, I don't think it's necessary. And what that does for me is it puts a logical side to the intention. When I am doing this because I'm supposed to, I'm floating, and I don't understand why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It's a rule that doesn't make sense to me. But when a girl will say, it makes me feel good, it makes me feel like you want to go out of your way. Now, I'm not opening the car door because I'm supposed to. I'm opening it because I know this person likes it.
Yeah.
So then it becomes something I want to do.
Okay.
But I don't know that unless I ask. So I'm on dates. I've been going on
You're having
dates.
to ask for this.
I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm asking everything.
On a first date?
Yeah.
Right.
And
It's tough, man.
It's tough. And I'm a comedian, and I've learned so much of how much of my comedy has come from surviving these unknowns and these questions. And I find charming ways of asking the waiter no butter on the bun because I have so many requests.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite an obstacle on dates, and it keeps me from wanting to go out.
And have you thought about how much of that informed your comedy before you knew that?
Yeah.
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 Because my favorite stuff of yours is when you make people feel really uncomfortable, or when you can change the atmosphere in a room really easily. It's an amazing thing to watch. And the bit where you do, you're like, where are you from? And people are, it's fucking funny.
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry.
But also, people don't realize that you're doing a bit.
Right.
They don't realize how layered the bit is.
Right. So
And it's about social cues, and that's another thing that.
yeah, social cues and the narrative of what we're supposed to do that was never taught to us.
Yeah.
It's intuitive that when someone says, how you doing, no matter how you doing, you say, good, how are you? And they say good, and it's a verbal handshake.
Yeah.
But when someone says to me, the more specific, the more dangerous. Especially when someone's like, so how was your weekend? And I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't even realize. Yeah, it was Friday, Saturday. And like I have to think about it.
You have to talk about 3 days now.
Yeah, I know. What do you want? What do you want from me? And then it's the same thing where if I don't say, okay, how was your weekend? Now I'm a bad. People think you're a bad person if you don't get the car door. If a dog barks at you, God forbid, a baby cries. People think dogs and babies could read into your soul. There's just all these things that I now have to make people laugh, and it's just exhausting. Hold on one sec.
Did you fart? I didn't get it through here. I saw the effort.
I'll just be honest with you. I'm just going to come clean.
You shit your pants.
I was saying hold on because I couldn't concentrate because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be a poop. Yes.
Okay.
It was a fart.
Okay.
It still is, probably.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm feeling myself talking a lot about this, and that's not this. You're my guest. I want to talk more about, this is autism.
It's autism.
But I do have some thoughts on what that means on dates, and I do want to get into that a little bit.
Nice.
We'll do that in a bit.
Okay.
Oh, I want to acknowledge one thing about the stand-up.
Okay.
So, Bill Lawrence, who was the boss for our show, Undateable, when I met him, it was at the Hollywood Improv, and he was in the audience, and he came up to me after, and he said, I love how comfortable you are in uncomfortable moments. I knew what he meant. I'd heard things like that before.
Yeah.
But the truth is, what was uncomfortable? I was doing a Will Smith impression. Like, I wasn't trying to make anybody uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. I don't think I'm Will. I don't. Come on. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm not Will Smith. but people think that I'm really trying to do impressions, whatever it is. So a lot of that stuff accidentally came from like what you're saying that you like, which thank you so much. And also, again, I apologize. But it is, people don't, who gives a shit? Who cares? I'm distracted from talking. I don't want to be talking about this.
I think it's really interesting. And I think that's a really astute thing of Bill to say. That's kind of what I was trying to say. That's Bill being more articulate than me.
Well, in the past 2 years since I got this autism diagnosis, I've realized how much of my comedy was built from me controlling, you think I'm weird? Let me beat you to the punch.
Watch this.
Watch this. Dick out. I've been kicked out of everything. I've been kicked out of poker games, basketball games, classes in school. I had to go to special school. I've never smoked a cigarette, but I'm this bad boy who's kicked out of stuff all the time, and I had no idea why. And I've noticed I have this Cinderella effect that I meet people and they like me. And I met Blake Griffin at a comedy show, and he wanted to do a podcast with me. He comes to my house. We do multiple podcasts together. People come and feel very strongly about me, but inevitably the clock strikes midnight and I turn into this annoying pumpkin and then I'm kicked out. And I'm not going to get into it now, but I have this interesting relationship with Blake where there was 6 months where he had all my podcast equipment at his house and he didn't want to respond to it. I couldn't get my stuff back. He was mad at me.
Fuck. Do you know what you did?
Of course I know what I did, but I was joking.
Oh, no.
And I'll get into it another time, maybe, but we're good. We're friends. Everything's good. But I blew it. We had a podcast together. And so basically he had a damaged leg. His quad, he had some surgery. And, and I was at his house and he was on one of those wheelie cast things. And he said, do you want anything? And I said, can I get a coffee? And he wheels to go get it. And I'm like, I want to get it. I don't know your mansion, So he's like, no, it's fine. He gets it and great. We're doing our podcast. We're a half hour in and he gives me a little bit of a jab. By the way, he's...
Physically?
No, I'd be done.
Oh, a comedy. Right,
like a little comedy jab. He's a hilarious guy. I have a great rapport with him. And he's legitimately funny, not just for a basketball player.
Yeah.
So we're best friends.
Yeah.
In my head, this guy, his shoulders, he looks amazing. I'm at his house. He's interviewing my mom and my grandma. We're boys.
Yeah.
Okay? So he gives me a little bit of a jab and the competitive and I could say that because my best friend's competitive. I have to go harder and harder. And he kind of stopped. And then I just kept leaning into him. And I was just saying, hey, thanks for wheeling me and getting me that coffee, you fucking bitch. And saying, I'm just going heavy. And I'm just like, I'm this big. And he's he's literally an all-star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
I'm joking. So I noticed the energy shifted a little bit. And after a few minutes, I didn't know what happened. I didn't know what it was.
Why did you never tell me this?
I was away. Shame.
I was away.
I don't think I've told anybody. I mean, I think part of me felt like I have a weird thing with talking about other people because it's not. If I'm speaking of somebody else, it's their business too.
Yeah.
But I realized that this is fine. Okay. I mean, and we're friends now.
This is your world. You're setting up the rules, man.
So I said, hey, so the energy shifted. And I'm not quite sure what it was. I'm articulating this to both him and me at the same time.
Okay.
I think it's because of the jokes we were just making. And he said, well, and I said, yeah, that is it. And he goes,
this is on the
podcast.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And
do you ever listen to it?
It's fantastic. Oh, wow. Yeah, I want to post it, but I have to ask him. And I've never had a podcast to put on.
Yeah.
I want to get him on again so we could talk about this and then put some of these clips. But he said, yeah, man, you're in my house and I just got hot. I'm hot. Okay.
From those words.
Yeah, because I know what it is. Oh, I stepped over a line.
Yeah.
I step over a line. The clock struck midnight. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is not new to me.
Yeah.
All-star Blake Griffin, who I think is one of the coolest guys in the world, befriends me. And what did I do? I called him a fucking bitch 19 times.
Yeah.
And I made fun of how he gets fouled. And he told me that in the NBA, when you call somebody, there's nothing worse than calling somebody a bitch.
Right.
Which I didn't know that. I'm unfortunately not there yet.
You nearly were in the NBA.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
If I weren't for comedy and lack of ability, I
you
probably
played
would've.
LeBron, didn't you, at one time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Twice. So, anyway, clock strikes midnight with me all the time, my friend. So when I found out that I was autistic, some patterns kind of lit up, and all these isolated incidents that some were my fault, some weren't, oh, I'm responsible, at least in part, for all of these things.
And even now, 2 years later, do you still sometimes like you'll think of something, you go, oh.
You mean like a memory?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like,
I remember.
yeah,
I
yeah.
pretty much know. I have good pattern recognition once I recognize that all the
Right.
colors are related. So
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of things.
Okay.
From being a little boy. Like, oof, I have been annoying. So now I still don't know how people receive me.
Yeah.
So I have to condition them and train them and qualify this so they could, when I go on a date, especially if I'm smoking pot, because then I'm completely done as far as awareness is concerned.
Right.
I'll say, listen, I don't know. I sometimes I could be a little bit much. So I want you to do me a favor. If you're ever feeling unsafe or annoyed, please give me the benefit of the doubt one time. One
Right.
time, I want you to just look at me and just go, Rick, too much. Once. And then I'll be calibrated. And then if it happens again, you should get the hell out of here. But just give me the benefit of that one time. My intentions, I'm just trying to do goofs. I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
and I just don't know anything.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that helps a lot. It's been used. Sometimes they've gone, Rick, and I go, thank you. But also it makes them realize, he is at least aware that he's unaware of certain it makes him feel a little bit safer. Like, oh, he's just silly. He's not a crazy person. Yeah. So like right now I'm feeling, I just spent 10 minutes talking about myself and I'm feeling a little insecure.
But it's so interesting.
Thank you.
There's not many people in our line of work who A, have been diagnosed with it, and B, openly talk about it. I can't think of anyone. There's people who talk about ADHD and OCD but specifically a comedian, like a stand-up comedian. I think it's an endless fascination.
Watch this. All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I need a second.
Okay.
So when you were in England, it felt nice talking to you about that.
Yeah, no, it's good. You feeling emotional?
I'm not feeling emotional. So this past 2 years, I've been investigating a lot, both in autism, in social responsibility, and in my personal relationships.
Yep.
And I'm kind of curious because we've never really talked about this.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't want to get into it too much, but like, I would love to hear you say, Rick, this moment or this thing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Kinda.
Yeah. Okay.
The only one I know about was when we were on Undateable. I had my headphones in all the time. I keep headphones in. I've just always, that's kind of something about marrying. Don't touch me. But I don't know if that's the same thing. But I've always wanted headphones in. I've always liked being able to avoid certain sounds.
Yeah.
And when we were on Undateable, I would have my headphones in during rehearsals. I wasn't playing anything, but there's a safety to having the headphones on.
Yeah.
And nobody said to me, Rick, this is disrespectful.
Yeah.
And then after it was all said and done, I remember I got into a conversation with Brent, and he told me he was upset with me about something, and I felt like that was tied to whatever resentments he may have.
Yeah.
He's like, you always had your fucking headphones in, and it was like, I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Did that happen on set? I have a vague recollection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The headphones thing is, it's not a good thing. But
people don't tell you how they feel.
But also that's something that I take for granted because I was doing it for, how old were we when we started? I was doing it for nearly 10 years.
You're saying acting forever.
Acting on set, like conduct on set, professionalism, all that stuff. But then there's days that, I turn up fucking hungover or whatever, but like that being on set and like missing a line in a reading or in rehearsal, you'd miss a line. Not you, but like if someone missed a line because they were on their phone or not concentrating, looks bad.
Sure.
Yeah.
We didn't have lines to miss. We were out for scenes at a time.
Yeah. Do you want me to try? There was one other one.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It was when so it was with Phil.
Uh-huh.
and
Phil, our director.
Phil Lewis, who was our director and who is literally the nicest man in the world, the sweetest, and he and I and our wives still go for dinner quite regularly.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right. And there was a day where you and Phil were doing a bit. Phil's always in. Like, there's nothing you can say that offends him. Like, he's in. But there was a day where the bit got physical, and you grabbed him, and you held him over the bar, and you're very big and very strong, and you humped him. You humped him vigorously in front of everyone.
Oof.
And so, I'd always... Oh, fucking hell. Like, I'd always do bits with Phil and stuff, but grabbing the director, there's still a hierarchy, there's still a kind of a respect thing.
Sure.
To grab the director and in front of, a crew. And there was a crew that day. I think that was a camera rehearsal day. So that was a
Probably
Thursday.
where the adrenaline was.
Yeah.
Well, then allow me to say publicly to Phil, thank you for your patience. Well, I bent you over and humped you.
But Phil, because he's such a fucking cool guy, didn't seem pissed off in any way, and but it's still the kind of it's how it's
how it's received.
Yeah.
I've always been in a physical. It's part of. I got kicked out of a basketball game for being too physical.
Right.
A contact sport, you know.
Yeah. Oh no, I've made I made the mistake once on set of engaging you in a physical bit, and you got me in a headlock. And if we were fighting, I'd have tapped. But
I don't remember that.
We were fucking around. But Julie, our first AD, was like really like her face, like she was seriously worried.
I didn't clock it
because it was rough and tumble in it. Yeah, it was like a.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, and allow me to say, David.
No, I don't give a fuck.
Thank you for your patience. Wrestling and that kind of stuff, that's how I connect.
Yeah.
And again, because in my head, people are thinking what I'm thinking. I'm playing, you know, and
yeah.
And people I have been into some situations where I've gotten too physical, and they've told me after the fact.
You also want to win though.
Yeah, I'm very competitive. That's how I was with Blake.
There's a thing with like guys, like a way of connecting is the mock attack, and it's like you fuck, like
okay,
like if it was to be on The Sopranos, like you know, that kind of stuff. It's the mock attack. It's kind of wrestling and stuff, but you also always want to win. So you get into a mock attack, and it's called a mock attack because you're not attacking each other.
Right.
You get into a mock attack with Rick, and then the next minute you've got a massive bicep on your fucking.
That's what happened. Blake gave me a mock attack, and then I just wrestled him in his home
with his
bum leg.
Yeah, that's it. That's the.
I still regret that. Blake, thank you for your patience.
Blake sounds cool, man.
Dude, it's crazy how cool he is.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of his comedy stuff?
No.
He's so funny.
It's not fair.
It's weird
And
because
LeBron, it's not fair. LeBron was the best thing in Trainwreck.
LeBron's very funny because he's LeBron, and here's this athlete doing these things. Not taking anything away from LeBron.
Right.
LeBron isn't a comedian. LeBron's a funny dude.
Right.
Blake has something in him. He has this self-deprecating. It's real.
Right.
He has this thing where I don't think he knows how good he looks. And like, does this fit me okay? Like, I literally am noticing this sweater on him that's like, you look awesome. You're
shimmering.
So wide.
Yeah.
He's so cool looking.
Yeah.
And he's legitimately like, I don't know if it's like the way that you were when you were sitting down with your shorts, you know, you're a superhero. He's a superhero.
Yeah.
And whatever that is that he obviously grew up with, he has this thing, and he built this need and this defense to be. He's dry. I want to show you some stuff. I don't even know. I want to almost pull something up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just legitimately funny. I want to show you later. He interviewed my mom. We called my mom, and my mom, he said, Mrs. Glassman, you know, the season's about to start up again, and could you give me 5 pieces of advice that I should do as a basketball player? And my mom says, oh geez, I'm really on the spot here. I guess, you know, just
Goes to her filing cabinet.
Yeah.
NBA questions.
Yeah, well, if she has this in a filing cabinet, it's the cutest filing cabinet ever.
Of course.
Because the one that I remember was there was two that I remember the most was be yourself.
Of course.
And keep your arms straight. And Blake is like, okay, so now when you say keep my arms straight.
Nice.
And
so he jumped on the bit.
Yeah, he recognizes the unusual thing and he plays to the pattern and he heightens it. But he plays it so serious to where my mom thinks, yes, keep your arms straight is real. And now my mom's really giving him advice about keeping your arms straight and Blake's going into it.
Because she's used to you asking questions when you don't quite understand something.
Okay, I don't know if I'm following the same.
Exactly. So when you like, if I'm like, oh, so I went there and then I went there and then I went there, most people don't care enough and go, oh, okay. But if it doesn't make sense in your head, you're like, hang on, wait. So where were you to begin with? And then you have to work everything out.
So you think my mom is conditioned and was speaking that way to Blake?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, he's amazing. He's the coolest. And this could be him and me right now. And instead it's me and you talking about fucking Ireland. No, but it's meant to be.
And when you essentially called him a bitch,
multiple times.
right? Okay, you literally called him a bitch. Okay,
I was mock fighting, and I didn't realize I had him in a headlock.
Okay.
I didn't have him like I could have him in a headlock, but metaphorically, you know.
So is he still playing? He's not retired yet or anything.
No, he's in Detroit now. He's amazing. He's still an all-star.
So it's also you've got someone whose life is defined by their body and what they can do with their body,
right?
And then they've got this weakness.
Oh, right. I wasn't calling him a bitch because of his quad.
Right. Okay.
I was calling him a bitch. I was making fun of his basketball play.
Oh.
I was talking about stuff like because whenever he gets fouled, he's always so surprised, and it's like that's just what how people are in the NBA. Everyone's like, "What? I didn't do anything." Like, who gets part of the game?
Yeah.
But like, I'm like leaning in and making it as if that's something that Blake's doing. Like, you can't man up to it.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm such a fucking fuck, dude. I was so, but also like.
But that's like,
if we were friends, if I knew him, whether it's somebody I meet on the street, if it's you who I've known for years, if it's Phil who's the director of our show, if it's Blake Griffin who's a guy I literally look up to, everybody's the same to me. And you could argue that's a cool thing because wow, Rick treats everybody the same, but also that means Rick will call anybody a bitch and bend them over a table and dry fuck them. So whatever is okay to me, there is no status difference.
Like Phil, who has a long, distinguished career.
Yes, who's getting paid a lot of money and who could help me out in my career.
Yeah.
Because he's no different than you. We're wrestling. We're buddies. Let's just play and connect. And so I don't recognize the boundaries that other people have. And inevitably, because of that, as strong as people connect with me, because I treat them like we're equals or that we've known each other, there's a comfort. People feel safe with me, I've noticed. But at a certain time, I'm back into this retarded pumpkin. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were a princess and you're just an annoying dude. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing now is hoping that they found my slipper.
Yeah.
And now that I understand that I have an autistic foot, we could put it back on. And all of these relationships, not that I've stifled so many relationships in my past, but the ones I'm still in, I want to make sure that my peers understand that I appreciate their patience.
Yeah, I kind of knew before.
A few people have told me that.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel really good.
Yeah. But I was just like, I still love hanging out. And
so you don't want to say anything. Is it kind of like when somebody you feel that a friend of yours is a homosexual, but they're not out of the closet yet, and you can't say anything until they come out?
Two very different things.
I don't know, man. The autistic and the homosexuals have a lot in common.
Okay.
May I? They are they like bending people over bars and fucking them for one. Doesn't matter what color they are, and they're usually hilarious.
Okay.
And they could memorize pi.
Yeah.
Those are the big three. I want to get into some of the really cool things that you've done now that we're an hour in.
Yeah.
That we haven't even started to talk about.
Okay.
And even though it's a small part, to me, one of the coolest things of anybody that I know is that you were in Game of Thrones. Sorry. I don't know if we need to retake that, but I do need a sip.
I need a piss as well.
Why don't you go take a pee? Why don't we go to our first commercial break?
Yep.
And when we're back,
but But it'd be good to break up these like segments.
Yeah.
With the sound. Yeah.
Yeah. I also don't have a sponsor, so our commercial will just be that.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, so I want to talk to you a bit about you. You have the way I look at it, you have two acting careers, simultaneous acting careers. There's American and then there's other.
Okay.
And it seems that your UK acting career is like prestigious. Doctor Who. Excuse me, so disrespectful. I'm sorry. Game of Thrones. You did. You were on the West End for School of Rock.
Yep.
And that's
Sherlock, Black Mirror. And I mean, I don't want to.
I was going to continue with those.
Yeah.
But those are the only ones I know.
Okay.
Those are actually the 5 I know.
Yeah.
Anything else? Or
Yeah,
those?
a few things.
What else?
Fucking Vanity Fair. That's on Amazon.
Oh, right.
Yeah. The Inbetweeners, which was huge in the UK. It didn't really land here as well.
Yeah, didn't see it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sherlock, the Game of Thrones, is those are two of the best television shows of all time. I mean, those are top. Game of Thrones is number 1, and Sherlock has got to be top 10, if not top 5.
Mm-hmm.
The show's incredible.
Yeah.
And over here, you were doing Undateable.
Yeah.
And I just remember that everybody on this cast, almost everybody on this cast, we either hadn't done anything before or who gives a shit, you know?
Yeah.
And you are this classically trained. Where'd you go to school?
I went to a school called Webber Douglas.
That was it. Are you technically classically trained? That term is thrown around a lot.
Yes.
I feel like.
Yeah.
But you
Classically
are classically trained.
Yes.
Right. You have an amazing singing voice, and I always just remember you had to just be like, you had like in an episode you would have 3 jokes, and they were just always about being gay.
Yeah. All British.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you cut and you look at his other career, and it's unbelievable. So I'd like to hear about you talk about what it means to work over there and have the respect, and how that doesn't necessarily translate in the States.
Right.
Does that make sense? What I'm asking of you?
Yeah. Well, there's a few things at play there. One is that with those awesome TV shows, Game of Thrones, Sherlock, Doctor Who, etc., I had very small parts. Mm-hmm. Cool parts, but very small. And even in Sherlock, it was supposed to be a much bigger part, but then I think Martin Freeman was filming The Hobbit, and then The Hobbit overran, so certain parts of that episode got cut right back.
You're sure like you still had a decent amount in that one?
Yeah, it was good. It was fine, but it was still like 1 episode or 2 episodes or whatever. So there's that. But it was like, that was years of build-up. That was like, when I left drama school, I didn't really work for like 5 years.
You left drama school at what age?
22?
So it's like a regular college. Is it 4 years?
3.
It's 3 years.
3. So yeah, I left drama school at...
when you say left, you graduated.
Graduated, yeah. I graduated in December 2005, and I didn't really get any decent TV work till... The Inbetweeners was my first decent kind of credit. That was 2009, I think, or 10.
4 years later, so you're 26?
Yeah, 26, 27. So it was a long time, man. And then it was like, even after the Inbetweeners, it was still bits. And then I did a musical in the West End.
What musical?
The 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee.
Oh, right, the Spelling Bee.
Yeah, which they did on Broadway before us, and Josh Gad played the part that I played, and Dan Fogler played the part that I played.
Both unbelievable.
Both amazing. So I did that, and then after that, that's when I didn't have to do day jobs anymore.
So Spelling Bee gave you the momentum in London.
It was just the best thing about doing theatre in London is that everyone goes to see most things.
Right.
Like most casting directors will go to see all the big stuff,
right.
All the theatres. So everyone, for the first time, saw me do some good stuff. And that was a show that I saw the clips, and every now and then, I don't know if you've ever felt this as an actor, every now and then something comes along and you see it and you're like, if I don't get that, something's kind of maybe I should be doing something
You're
else.
saying you were built for this role.
It was the first thing in 5 years or 6 years of being a professional actor where I called my agent and I said, if you get me seen for that, I think I'll get it. Because I saw clips of it and I was just
And what was the audition process like for that? Because that's the lead role of a play. I have to imagine a lot of people are auditioning.
I was the right age. I looked a bit like Dan Fogler, the guy that did it before. It was about kids who were like 11, 12-year-old kids going into a spelling bee. I was literally working in schools every day with 11, 12-year-old kids. That was my out-of-work actor's job.
You were a substitute teacher, right?
I was a teaching assistant.
Teaching assistant.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about that after.
Yeah. And I was working with like kids across the spectrum of autism and special needs and stuff that I could draw from. And it was comedy, and you didn't have to have. I don't have it, like you said a minute ago. I don't have an amazing voice. I'm an actor who can sing a bit.
I want to back up what I said before. You do have a very good voice. You have a Broadway voice. Like you have a performing voice. Listen. Maybe I'm a big stupid retard, okay? I always thought that you have a really good voice.
Okay. It's not my
I wouldn't listen to you.
Okay. But you don't have to be an amazing singer for that role. You just have to be able to embody the kid, and you need to be able to just know the comedy from that. So yeah,
embody the kid. You playing a kid at 26?
It's adults playing 11-year-olds.
Oh, I always pictured it there being 11-year-olds, and you were almost like the Jack Black character in School of Rock.
No. It's adults playing kids. Gotcha. That's why it's so funny.
Yeah.
So yeah. I just had a feeling. I saw it, and I was like, man, it's like someone crawled into my head and wrote a part for me.
But they didn't.
But no, they didn't, because they'd done it 8 years before or whatever on Broadway. So, and it was the first time I kind of, because I used to get so nervous in auditions because I was like, I don't work. Why is that? And then you doubt yourself and you doubt your abilities. And just with that one, I was just like, I knew what to do. It just felt like everything had kind of come to that point, and I was like, I just know what to do here. For the first time, I felt confident, really confident going into an audition.
Do you remember what the audition was? What you had to do?
Yeah, I had to sing a song and do some of the scenes. I don't think I did the song from the show in the first audition. I did. Do you know Chorus Line?
Of course.
You know
2, 3, 4.
So you know the song, I am a dancer, it's who I am. It's what I do.
Remind me, go ahead.
So it goes, I am a dancer, and it's about this woman who's singing very earnestly about being a ballet dancer and how important she has to dance. I can't fucking dance at all. So I go in and it's, I am a dancer, and you're doing this thing where you're saying, I'm a dancer, I'm a dancer, I'm a dancer. And then she doesn't dance until the chorus, where it goes, let me dance for you. So then they're like, what's he doing? This guy's not a dancer. He can't dance. So then when it goes, let me, I start doing like the robot and like, which is so like childish, and the Running Man. And so that was my audition piece for that. And then I had a callback, and it was like a dance callback. But I remember I was at the dance callback. I was like, all these guys are dancers. I'm not a dancer. So I was like, I just have to be the 12-year-old.
Did that play into a strength? Do you think that they were seeing a silly side? Maybe you can't dance, but he's playing an 11-year-old well.
Absolutely, yeah. And in the dance callback, it was like a load of guys just like bam, 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 like doing it really well. And I
even like, that, I don't know. I thought that looked good. That looked like stage stuff.
Yeah, because I've seen people do it. And I can't do all that stuff. So I was like, okay, well, they're good at that.
Danny, will you hand David that not the body blade, but the other stick? Yeah, give that to Dave, would you?
So you knew I couldn't resist. So I was like, oh yeah, they're good at that. I'm not good at that. So I was just like, I'm just going to do it all as the kid, as the 11-year-old. So I did, yeah.
And I'm putting you on the spot here. Is there a world where you could give us a little piece from Chorus Line? And if you could look at this in the camera and do it. My mom listens to Chorus Line all the time. I always listen to that. If you could look into the camera, and if I could just send, even if you don't want me to post it, and I could send this to my mom.
This is making my anus go like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
And no obligations to do it. But it might be fun.
I'll do it at the end.
Okay.
I'll do it at the end.
We'll close out with it.
We'll do it properly. Yeah.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
So you get chorus line, and now, great, you don't have to work with the autistic kids anymore. Until now.
So I do the show, and then all the casting directors see it, and then I just started getting more jobs. And then my first job after that was I did Life's Too Short on HBO with.
Oh, I didn't know you did that. I watched it before I met you. I have to rewatch that.
Yeah, I did Life's Too Short with Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, and Warwick Davis.
And Warwick Davis and Stephen Merchant. And
great company.
Oh, dude.
Dude.
Yeah, man. And it was like, you know, I don't have to tell you how obsessed I am with Ricky. Not obsessed with Ricky Gervais, but The Office is still the gold standard for me of TV comedy. And it was, I was working with my comedy hero.
What was that like? What was it like when you met him?
This whole thing that he does, like the Golden Globes and stuff, that's him pushing boundaries and seeing what he can get away with, and it's holding a mirror up to Hollywood and going, you fucking idiots, you're all so vain and all this stuff. He's doing it to make himself laugh. Like, so many people I speak to are like, oh, he's an asshole. I'm like, he is literally the nicest man. He is so nice. And the set was a really happy set. They rap at like 5 p.m. every day. They're like, we're not going, you know, we don't need to. Like, they're Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant. They were like, no, this is our...
So you auditioned for it?
I auditioned for it, yeah.
And then you first day in set, you meet him.
Yeah.
Before working, obviously. Yeah. And has he come up and introduced himself?
Yeah, he knocked on my trailer door and he was like, hey, the door opens and your hero's there. And it's like, yeah.
And you were anticipating meeting him?
Yeah.
Did you have anything prepared?
I had, no. Because, I mean, I worked with Michael Palin last year. And
on what?
On Vanity Fair on Amazon. And I made the mistake of doing a bit immediately, and it backfired quite badly, and I looked really fucking dumb.
Been there. What was the bit?
Yeah, so we're in we go into the makeup trailer, and Palin sat in the seat there, and I sit next. They're like, oh, okay, David, if you sit here, and I sit next to him, and I'm like, fucking Michael Palin. So I'm like, hey, David, Michael, handshake, and then I say, so this is going to look really good on your demo reel, Michael. As in Vanity Fair is going to look really good on his demo reel.
That's a safe joke.
He's a Python. He doesn't need a demo reel. Ha 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 ha. That's the gag.
Yeah.
But he either thought I was a complete fucking asshole, or it was rude, because he just kind of went, And I was like, I messed up.
That's on him.
First time I met a Python.
That's on him.
Do you think?
100%.
Okay. I thought it was a good gag.
There was nothing invasive. You didn't put anything on him. It was a throwaway joke. You know what that was? That was a how are you doing? Good, thanks. How are you? It was just an opening. It was a connection piece.
I've thought about it too much since.
I understand.
I've worried about it.
If that is going to bother him, I don't know him.
I don't think it bothered him. I just think he was just like, oh, here we go.
There was nothing you could have done.
Yeah. But he was, just for the record, he was also so cool and sweet. And
I want to hear more about meeting your hero, Gervais.
Ricky Gervais. Okay, so
he knocks on the trailer. He opens the door. This is what you've been thinking about.
And now he looks great. He's like lost a bunch of weight. He's got cool Hollywood sunglasses on, and he's just like fucking smiley and lovely and sweet. We talk about the characters a bit. Blah blah blah.
But hold on. But he walks in. He knocks. What happens? Hello,
no,
I'm
he
Ricky.
Just stands there. Hi, I'm Ricky. Welcome.
Shakes your hand.
Shakes my hand. He's like, great character. Loved your audition tapes.
How does that make you feel? You believe him?
Yeah, because they can have the pick of whoever they want for this show.
Right.
So
you believe him, and you're being validated by your hero.
Yeah, but the best moment of validation came when we were shooting. So we're shooting a scene. I'm playing a groom, and we have a Star Wars themed wedding because my wife and I are obsessed with Star Wars. And Warwick Davis. So we meet Warwick Davis at a convention, and we're like, "Come to our wedding. You can be an Ewok." And he's like, "What?" So he turns up. He thought we were joking. He turns up not without an Ewok outfit. He just turns up in a suit thinking he's invited. And we're like, where's the fucking Ewok outfit? He's like, what? I'm like, I'm not going to invite you to our wedding willy-nilly if you're not going to be an Ewok. Can we get him an Ewok outfit? So then his assistant's like, well, I've got a big cuddly bear. We can just rip out the stuffing and stuff him in it.
So disrespectful.
So we stuff him. I know. So hard cut to Warwick Davis in a teddy bear costume as the Ewok
with a suit underneath.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So then Ricky, like I know him really well. So Ricky says to me, he's like, so Warwick's going to stand up and do a speech. And he's like, so Warwick does the speech, and then when he says the first, I can't remember what the line was. When he says that, you know, that thing we do in the office where we look down the barrel. I'm like, of course. I've rewound every single one of those that you do a million times and watched it and studied it. Of course I know.
said, what do you say to him?
I didn't say that.
Because you're playing cool.
Playing cool. Yeah, I'm like, yeah. Like the Martin Freeman thing. He's like, exactly. So he's like, okay, great. So Warwickson, come up, do the speech, look down the barrel. Great. He goes off to another room to Video Village, which is where all the monitors are, and then the directors sit by the monitors and they watch from another room. So then the scene happens. Warwick does his thing, and then I look down the barrel, look down the lens, and then I just hear that Ricky Gervais laugh. And I was like,
oh, man.
That's it. I'm done. Like, I did it. You know, I worked with my hero. I made my hero laugh, and that was just like...
Wow, that
cool. For me is, yeah.
Is that your moment?
That's top 5 for sure. Yeah.
I'd like to hear how nice you found him.
I mean, even my wife had preconceptions. She was like, oh, you know, he's smug and whatever. And then we were at the rap party, and he made sure he went up to everyone. He was like, hi, I'm Ricky. He was like, oh, you must be David's wife. She was like, yeah, hi, I'm Lauren, blah, blah, blah. And they chatted, and he walked away. And she was like, oh, my God, he's so nice. And then he came back, like we saw him again like 3 hours later. And he was like, Lauren, how are you? Are you okay for drinks? Do you need anything? Can I get you anything?
People love when people can remember names.
Yeah.
People love a name. You know what? Remembering a name is a dog who normally barks at people not barking.
Yeah.
It's a little extra, and I get it.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good when someone remembers my name.
And I mean, it's sorry, it wasn't a rap party. It was a screening. So it was 4 or 5 months after we shot it. So he's going around, and he must have met 100 new people that night, and he remembered her name, and he was making sure she had a drink, and is everything okay? Can we get you anything? It was just the sweetest. So relaxed. Stephen Merchant was a bit more like focused on the work. So I felt like Stephen was in their partnership. It felt like he was more kind of about the shot and the framing and blah, blah, blah. And then Ricky was more about kind of getting in with the actors, making sure all the comedy beats are there. And
those are two of the great, of some of the greatest comedy writers of all time.
Oh, man.
To get a laugh.
Oh, wow.
Is so cool.
Yeah.
It's so funny how rewarding.
But the laugh as well.
Yeah.
Like the laugh where...
The patented Gervais laugh.
That's the laugh where he's like... Because sometimes he's laughing and he'll do this. And it's like...
You do a good Gervais.
It comes from like, he's thinking about a comedy bit and it's coming from a bit. But the ha-ha is like... He's not thinking about that. That's just erupting out of him. Mm-hmm. To get that specific, it's just, yeah.
So you do Life's Too Short. You have met the casting directors. It's been 5 years. You're finally working. You continue to work. You do Game of Thrones. Do you remember? It's season, what is it? Season 4?
2.
Oh, is it that early?
Yep.
For those anybody who wants to look out for this, it's. Do you remember the episode?
Yeah, it was. The episode's called Garden of Bones.
It's at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
And David is killed by a direwolf.
Yeah.
It is short, but I do remember that you told me you were in it. I had already watched. I went back and watched it and saw it, and it still blew my mind.
Right.
It's just you're part of this. You're literally part of that world now.
And it's like the production value on that is like like we walked into the field, and I looked at the field, and there's just like horses for days, like carriages and 150 extras. And
what's the audition for that small thing?
I auditioned for a different
important
role. I auditioned for something else. I auditioned for one of the Night's Watch. Mm-hmm. I think the character's called Gren.
Which one is Gren? Is he?
He's like one. See, I haven't watched it past season 2. So,
what?
Yeah, I'm doing it now. I'm trying to catch up.
David, I had hernia surgery in June.
One singular sensation.
I rewatched all 7 seasons in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. But the problem I have is that my wife doesn't want to watch it. So I have to do it when we're not sitting down to watch stuff together. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, babe, can you please just... She's like, no interest. And now Queer Eye for the Straight Guy is back on Sunday. So I know that's our... I mean, there's no way I'm not watching that.
Sure. Which actually has a lot in common with... Excuse me. Whatever joke that I was going to try and find.
Yeah. Well, what was I saying? Production value. I did get a really cool note from the director though. So totally in my own accent. I'm doing the scene in my own accent. The director comes up and he's like, yeah, David, it's great. It's great. Really like what you're doing. Yeah, it's great. It's coming out a little Mary Poppins. Can you just take the edge off? And I was like, it's coming. So what? So I sound like Dick Van Dyke? This is how I speak. I'm doing it all in my own accent.
Did you say that?
No. I was too scared.
Right.
I was too fucking scared.
See, that fear that you have it keeps people from turning into a pumpkin.
Right.
That fear makes sense.
That fear's gone though. In the last couple of years, I think it's an age thing and an experience thing. I'm more likely to question things now. And
yeah. Information is, I've always say that answers are easy, questions are hard to find. So once you have a question, figure it out.
Yeah.
Ask it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can imagine that's intimidating. You're on that set.
And it was just like season 1 had just aired and it just blew up bigger than they had ever imagined. So I was like, I'm just going to keep my head down and fucking do it.
So you're Game of Thrones, you're Sherlock, you're working with your heroes, you're getting laughs, you're doing plays, you're working,
Bada
your
bing, bada
dreams
boom.
coming true.
Yep.
You get this opportunity to come to Los Angeles to be in an NBC sitcom.
Yep.
Of course, you have to take that.
Yep.
So you pack up, you move.
Yep.
When you auditioned for it, the show was already picked up because you
Yep.
were a recast. So you knew, if I get this, that's now start of this new life
Yep.
in America. You move here. What's the difference in how you feel when you first start to once you settle into what your job actually is, which was a character that you, and I don't mean to speak for you, but I believe I understand, you resented a bit and felt that you weren't creatively fulfilled?
Well, I think, it's a tough one because I had a conversation with Ron and I were talking about it the other day.
Ron Funches.
Yeah. And there were moments where I was like, I just wanted more to do because I'd been spoiled. I'd been spoiled in the UK and I was playing leads on stuff and blah, 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 blah.
So did you feel any sense of entitlement?
No, not entitlement. I was just like, oh, I can do more. I have more skills than, but that being said, like what Ron and I were saying the other day is like, we took stuff for granted a little bit. And
I definitely did.
Yeah, for sure. Not you definitely did. I'm just saying.
I understand.
I definitely took stuff for granted. And now in hindsight, looking back on it, I'm like, well, actually, no one knew who the fuck I was here. And not that I'm a fucking big name back in the UK, but like people will bring me in for auditions. At least I'm going into the room. Here, it's like, I still have to fucking earn my stripes. I have to, there's an element of starting over again.
That you didn't recognize in the moment.
I didn't. I just thought, well, I've done all this.
Right.
I can do it. I can do stuff. And we did get moments. Like I got some great moments but like the show, I think I vaguely remember Bill talking to us between the pilot and the next episode. And he was like, look, the network really like Chris and Brent as a duo. They've gotten into this thing that they're kind of two best friends in real life. And that's kind of more what the show's going to be. And I was like, oh, okay. But then that's kind of what the show was. And it was like coming from the pilot where there was like interesting stuff that was commenting on the kind of the, how hard it is for this guy to come out and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there were some frustrations, but like I learned so much and I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
I learned so much from you guys, the comics, just by being around you guys every day. By osmosis, it made me quicker. It's made my writing better. It's made me, being on set with you guys all day, every day for 3 years, has made me way more honest.
How so?
With my work.
What does that mean?
So, do you want to try this? Blah, 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 blah. And then if you guys didn't want to do something or you felt it wasn't funny, you'd question it and you'd talk about it. And but it's also made me more honest with my friends because you guys are all so brutally honest with each other and you call each other out pretty quickly if you're being a dick.
And that's attractive to you?
100%. Because it's like, oh, fuck, yeah, I'm being a dick. Call me out.
Right.
Call me out. Like
because we all lack awareness. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And my wife does it in my kind of
I didn't know your wife until after I got to know you, but it seems, so maybe she didn't before, but it seems like Lauren was always like that. At least as long as I've known her.
Yeah, but we always make sure we call each other out and stuff. But in terms of like outside of our marriage, like being on a set and blah, 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 it's made me way more honest with people. I'm way more honest in my friendships. And
that's nice.
And like your thing is like, no, I don't want to do that. Hey, do you want to come and hang out and hike and do this? No, I don't want to do that.
So what are you saying? You're saying you would do it even though you didn't want to?
I either feel obliged to do it and do it even though I didn't want to, or I'd make
an excuse.
Some excuse or some reason.
Right.
But really, there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't feel like doing that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite. I just don't feel like doing it today.
So when I was in third, fourth, and fifth grade, I called David Price every week to play. I love David. He's funny. He was nice to me. And every week he couldn't for... it wasn't a different excuse.
Do you know David Price, Danny?
My cousin Danny's in the room. Danny Glassman, everybody. David, I'm friends with David today.
Great.
But at the time, David was homework, was busy, was grounded, whatever the excuses were. I remember even sometimes I would his mom wouldn't let him. I would ask if my mom could talk to his mom.
Oh wow.
I had no idea because I didn't pick up on it because I needed things to be spoken to me directly and literally. David just didn't want to play with me. Had David just said, listen, bud, I'm not interested in kicking it with you, it would have been like, fuck. But then I would have been able to have new questions as to why, even if it didn't make sense for David and I to have a relationship at the time, I would have at least understood, Also, I would have just stopped calling him. I called him every week for years, okay? So, I don't want to, I've always lived that. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Jerrod Carmichael. Do you know Jerrod?
Yeah.
Jerrod is a good friend of mine, but within the entertainment business, especially in this past few years, he's become a very strong, powerful presence. He started as a stand-up comedian, and he just always had respect from the industry. I could tell you a lot of different reasons why I feel that way, but the reason I bring it up is he and I had a conversation years ago that we connected on, that I hadn't met somebody like that, a peer, other than my mom who's like that, until him, which was he was invited to a good friend of his wedding, and it wasn't in California. Not a good friend that he was in the wedding party, but like he's known this person for a long time.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to go. So he didn't go. And I said, why do we have to go? It's not black and white, and sometimes you have to go.
Yeah.
There's things you have to do. I don't mean this in a always be selfish type of way, but I do think selfish gets a bad rap. And he's not going to be spending time with you. He's going to see them for a minute and a half. He's going to have to buy a plane. He's like, listen, I don't do things I don't want to do. And I go, yeah. And for me, that's cool because for whatever reason, Will Smith is asking Jerrod to fly on the set of Bad Boys, and they're him and Bruckheimer are having he's just the guy now.
Yeah.
So I think, look what happens when you tell people, you know what I mean? So I'm almost validated in that. So hearing it come from you, it's like, yeah, right. That's okay, Blake. Do a fucking podcast with me. Yeah. I'm just telling it how it is, dude.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
There's a fine line of how you tell it how it is. But yeah, I think it's really important to be honest with your friends. Because if you said, come on a hike, and I said, I don't want to, and it meant something to you, Rick, there's something I want to talk to you about. Rick, I'm lonely. Rick, whatever
Rick,
it could be.
Lonely.
Then kind of like opening the car door for
I'm
a girl.
lonely.
You're not lonely.
No, I'm not.
You're surrounded by people all the time.
Yeah.
You're the most social guy I know. But then,
I'm getting way less social though.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
But when it gives you the opportunity, I want to say this still. It gives the other person the opportunity to then respond to that obstacle instead of responding to an excuse.
Yeah.
So if you were to say, Rick, I know you don't want to, but I still want you to, that would actually change. I would maybe, if you want me there for something, I guess I could do that.
Yeah.
But if you're just inviting me, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Anyway, is that too wordy? Was that too many words to say what I wanted to say there?
I've never heard someone split up a word like that in the middle of the word. You said, was that too many words?
Yeah.
It's good though.
Something else I got to work on.
I'll use that in a character. Was there a question?
I don't know. I do know, but it's superfluous. So you're in the States. Now you've learned.
Yeah.
Now you're honest.
Now I'm humble.
Now you're humble.
Yeah. But it definitely sharpened, also it sharpened my comic instincts as well, I think.
So you're funny now because of me.
Yeah, pretty much. And doing the stand-up tour with you guys was really good for me because I always wondered.
Okay, let me explain what this is.
There's a fly.
The way you reached for that fly and crossed your eyes was very cartoon. Were you just coming from your Trolls voiceover?
Yeah.
So, Undateable has 4 stand-up comedians: Chris D'Elia, Brent Morin, Ron Funches, Rick Glassman. We go on tour in between season 1 and 2. It was great. Bill Lawrence came, he hosted, blah, blah, blah. The next year we do it again. Bill can't come. We need
David was sad because he felt left out.
And I'm sorry you weren't there, but this was not a skill set that you had. We're some of the best stand-up comedians in the game, and you're a Game of Thrones guy.
Yeah, it's true.
So now the next year comes, and David comes along with us, who's never done stand-up before, who's now playing theaters and in front of a lot of people, and how is he going to do? Also, you had to go up first, so the crowd wasn't warm. They were expecting to see killers like Chris D'Elia in his German bit, Brent Morin in his Night Night bit, Ron Funches in his Fuck Linda bit, and Rick Glassman, and who's that guy? Why is he with these comedians? So you had
We all knew it was coming, but it's just, it was nice. Good
Thank you so
payoff.
much. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your patience.
That's actually a pretty good title.
Yeah.
I'd like the dual meaning of take your shoes off.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience is a good title for this episode.
Episode title, yeah.
Jinx is a game that
Jinx
people
again.
do. Oh, yeah, we didn't say anything at the same time.
No, it's from Frozen.
Anyway, so you now are going on tour, and you were a bit resentful, or at least sad you didn't go the first time. Here's your opportunity to shine.
Yeah, and now I'm a road comic.
I remember after you had done a few of them, you had said,
"Life on the road,
you
baby."
said, "I'm one of the boys now," and they were all laughing because he doesn't know what it's like, and I'm thinking, yeah, right, yeah, now we've made it. Look at us.
Oh man, dude, they said to me, they were like, "Yeah, just do a 10 at the start," and I was like, "What?"
Because that 10 seemed like a lot.
Yeah. So it was. I just thought I was going to bring you guys on, and that's it.
I would just say, "Hi, I'm David. Are you guys ready for the show?"
Yeah, or like a minute of riffing, but like,
yeah, you got to warm it up.
So I remember going to Vegas, and
was the first show Vegas or South by?
So South by was the first show, but Bill hosted that one.
Right.
We all went to South by.
Right.
Bill hosted it.
Okay.
And then we went to Vegas, and they asked me to do it between South by and Vegas, and Bill had hired a plane because Chris, I think, was doing something that morning, and then Bill was like, "Oh, it's okay, come on the plane with me." And then Bill wasn't doing the tour anymore, so I went for the first time in my life, and I didn't even post about it because I find this stuff mortifying.
Mortifying as in embarrassed
getting
or
on a
scared?
Private plane? Just mortifying as in like working
first time on a
class
private
guilt.
plane, you're saying. I think
like,
my first time doing stand-up.
yeah, like
I
working
understand.
class guilt and shame and all that stuff, and like I'm not posting it.
Oh, first time I was on the private planes. I'm Instagramming the
I
shit
know,
out
I
of
saw,
it.
I remember.
You kidding me? Falling down the steps?
Yeah, but I can't do that because then, I feel like everyone back home is gonna be like, "Fucking dude, look at him,
Okay.
fucking Hollywood Johnny."
I did it for the same exact reasons, but I understand.
Yeah. So
Wow, maybe I should have played with Rick, David was thinking.
and I remember like being on this fucking private plane. I'm like, I should be enjoying this, but I was just worried about the show because they were like, right, 10 minutes, and I thought I had a solid 10 minutes, and I remember saying to, I think it was you and Brent, "Do you mind if I run some stuff by you?" And you were like, "Yeah, maybe later." And
I don't remember that.
yeah, because I think now knowing a bit more about stand-up and stuff.
Now you're a vet.
No, I don't mean that, but having spent more time around stand-ups in the last few years, again, the idea is that you have to crash and burn and you have to figure it out.
Yeah, if you, best case scenario, you tell us a story where you're performing and we go, you're not going to get what you want.
Yeah.
So it might discredit the idea that it's good enough.
So I slowly start to realize this. So then I'm like, oh, I'm on my fucking own here. So I go out.
Oh, man, thanks for your patience.
Thinking I had a solid 10, burned through it in about 2.
Because you spoke fast or it wasn't 10 minutes?
Because I spoke fast and I didn't leave air. I didn't give enough time for the laughs.
Right.
I didn't allow it to breathe. Just burned through it, and I didn't. I was like, great, got a laugh. Whereas by the end, I was like, get a laugh, and then I'd see something, and I'd be like, do a bit of crowd work.
For those of you who aren't watching, David's crowd work was he gave a finger gun.
Yeah.
So I connected like
So yeah, I burnt, but I was, because I was so nervous at the Vegas show, because it was like, I think it was like 600-700 people. Me and Brent are drunk quite a lot backstage, and I took a big fucking hit on Ron's
Before going up?
Ron's vape thing.
Yeah.
And by the I got out there, I thought I felt fine, and I got out there, and the lights came on. And I've done plays
Right.
and musicals and whatever before.
But you had a script.
But there was an element of like, oh, actually, I'm a bit fucked, and
Oh, right.
I wasn't self-aware enough to know just to fucking breathe and let it kind of. But then I think it kind of show by show it kind of improved. And,
Absolutely did. You were good, sincerely.
Thanks,
the
man.
trip was fun. I don't know how much of it was all built in with the people. What was cool about that tour is people that came out to see us.
Yeah.
So they liked the show, or
Yeah.
at least had seen the show.
So that it wasn't a fair representation of what I'd be doing if I was to do stand-up.
Depends. A lot of people start doing there's a lot of people who start doing stand-up once they've created a fan base versus creating a fan base through stand-up.
Yeah.
Creating a fan base through stand-up, Chris D'Elia.
Yeah.
Creating doing stand-up once you have a fan base, Joel McHale. Doesn't
Right.
mean one's necessarily better than the
Yeah,
other.
true.
But however you earn it, once people come to see you instead of come to see comedy, and I've experienced people coming to see me a couple of times. I don't really know what it's like, but it's a different vibe.
Right.
It's like when you joke around with your friends and they're laughing, it's not that you said anything funnier. They just know you. They understand your point of view. They understand your intention. So once people like you, so you went out, it's a good place to go for a first time because people think that they would rather do it in front of less people, but the more people, the better.
Yeah, of
you have
course.
more chances for laughs. So you went out in front of 600-700 people for the first time. They already know who you are. Nobody does stand up for the first time coming up like that.
Yeah.
Like that's a perfect situation.
Yeah.
And you crashed and burned those first few times, dude. No, I'm just kidding. I just that tour was one of the most fun things.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah.
We were staying in first class hotels,
man.
flying either private or first class everywhere.
Do you remember Detroit as well? That crowd in Detroit were just
Yeah.
like, I was like, oh, if I ever do pursue stand up, like it will be this.
Detroit was the one for you?
Yeah. Just in terms of the crowd, there was something special about doing Caroline's on Broadway for me.
Yeah.
And also by the end, like Caroline's was the last show, and I was so relaxed on stage by that point. And
I remember at Caroline's is when you told me there was maybe a joke version you said a couple times. I'm like you guys now, but I remember at Caroline's you told me sincerely. I don't remember what you said, but you had said like I have it figured. Like I'm good now. I remember you said that to
I
me.
shouldn't have said that.
It wasn't good. Like I'm a great stand-up comedian now. It was sweet. Like you said, like I could do this.
Right.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like it took the tour, whether it was Caroline's or the amount of shows before. It took the tour for you to feel like, oh, all right, I'm ready.
Yeah, I think by the end, what I'd figured out is that there's like, I guess they talk about it, they call it flow. So when you're in a flow with, like people in martial arts talk about it a lot. It's like my friend Toby talks about it a lot. It's like a single point of focus.
Yeah, I call it the pocket.
The pocket, yeah. So I was in the early shows, I was so concerned about doing my bits well that I forgot to be in the moment and forgot to observe things and change things influenced on the environment. But by the end, like someone fucking heckled me at Caroline's.
10 shows later by the end.
Like by the end, that was my very brief microcosm of a stand-up career. But by Caroline's, like someone heckled me and I was like, this doesn't feel bad. I know that I can handle this.
Let's show the clip.
Yeah. But it was also enough to know that it's not for me. I really enjoyed it. But being up there on your own, it doesn't really interest me. But also it made me realize that, like, because I spoke to Chris about it, and Chris was like, yeah, I go up on stage every night. I've been on stage every night pretty much for the last 8-10 years. And I was like, I don't want to, for a new thing, because I love acting and I love writing.
It's a big commitment.
It's such a commitment.
It's a lonely commitment too.
Yeah.
At least my experience.
Maybe I should have pursued it in my early 20s, but I think it just, I could do it, and I think I could do it okay. But I think to truly be good at it, you have to have it. It didn't bite me, you know. I wasn't infected by it.
Now, to juxtapose to
But
what
I loved it.
Just to what juxtapose to what does bite you. And what
Yeah.
is a skill set of yours? 2, 3, 4,
5,
6,
6, 7.
7.
Voiceover.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me see some.
I did some.
You did some. All right. I would like
yeah.
you to close this out with a huge set piece. No, I
Yeah.
do want to wrap it up. This is we're getting to the end. But
We were in the pocket for a while.
yeah, there's some pox.
Yeah.
Some good pox.
Yeah. I love that phrase, in the pocket.
Have you never heard that?
I have, but I've never.
It's tangible to me.
Yeah, yeah.
There are moments. It's riding a wave where when you're when you're surfing, when you're on it, it's flowing. The wave is doing all the work. You just have to make sure you're staying balanced and consistent in what you were doing, and then everything's easy.
Yeah.
But once you fall off, then you have to get that wave again. You have to build it back up.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's tough is when you fall off, a lot of times the audience doesn't know you fell off. But if I think I'm going to go somewhere and I can't find it, it's hard. It's a skill set to be able to pretend you didn't fall off and just kind of go through it while you're paddling back out. And Steve Martin has a book. It's autobiographical about his career, mostly focused on stand-up.
Right.
I don't know if you know much about Steve Martin's stand-up, but he was a king for a little bit.
Okay.
He did stand up. He was playing banjo at amusement parks and doing magic tricks and being goofy Steve Martin.
Before he was a film
before
star.
anything.
Right.
Then he starts doing stand up and it just blew up. He was just this goofy, the hat that is an arrow that's going through the head, just like the silly props. Hey, wild and crazy guys, like that energy.
Yeah.
And he
That early 80s stuff.
became I want to say 70s.
Okay.
He became selling out theaters, arena. He was the biggest stand-up comedian, right? And he reached this point, and I think at his top, he was maybe at that point for a year or two before he said, "I did it. I can't. This isn't sustainable.
Yeah. I love that.
I'm done." And he stopped doing, and he became Steve Martin.
Brilliant.
But in his book, he says, "Never let the audience know you're bombing," which I thought is so interesting because there is a tool. When you do bad, you have to acknowledge it. And you have to make the audience know, listen, I'm just like you guys. I saw what just happened. Here I am. But sometimes the audience doesn't know what happens. So sometimes you're shining a light on a mistake that, like when you're playing a song, I know how it's supposed to go, but you don't. You don't know it's the wrong note.
Yeah.
So that always stood out to me. And another thing he said that stood out to me was, anybody could be great. We've all been great by accident even. What true greatness is not being great sometimes. It's being consistently good. And just if you could just be good all the time, then you'll have your highs.
Yeah.
But you're always, and that's what to me being a professional is, and that's what's so hard about stand-up and the consistency, at least for me, because I always do such different things. Sometimes I'm just riding the wave and it's in the pocket and it's great. But when it's not that, it needs to be at least good.
Right.
But for the longest time for me, I'm either like, wow, great stuff, or, Jesus. So
I think you were in the pocket on the tour.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Stand-up's been good recently.
Oh, good.
I'd love for you guys to come check it out. I'll be at the Bubble Hut at 59th Street in Maine. I'll be in New York's Chuckle Cheese at on March.
Cheese. Is that a place? Chuckle Cheese.
No, but people when people talk about where they're going to be, they're all club names or so. I'll be at the Wacky Farm in Minnesota. They're always like, Jesus, just call it a comedy club, you know? I'll be at the Silly Dick in Wisconsin. I always see at the end of Bill Maher on his show, it's always like, so we're putting these children in cages. Meanwhile, women are getting raped and the Muslims are not allowed into the country. I'll be at the Silly Dick on Tuesday and the bubbly bushel fuck, and it's just like the comedy club names are silly. So I was just tapping into that. Man, this has been you did a great interview on me. So I'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so where could we see you?
Yeah, I'll be at
No, sincerely though, is there your Vanity Fair, which I still haven't watched?
Okay. Vanity Fair's on Amazon. I just shot a pilot for Pop TV.
Yeah, but people can't see that right now.
No, I know.
Where could they see Vanity Fair on Amazon?
Amazon.
Season 2, Game of Thrones.
Season 2, baby.
I just tweeted out, I don't know when this is going to be, when I'm posting this, so I'm going to have to pop it on the bonus content. But your wobbly hand,
Oh, dude.
a 5-minute, I'll call it a sketch, but out of respect, a short film that you made.
Yep. But for context, that was for a competition where you get the subject matter and the genre on the Friday night, and you have to hand in an edited.
Oh, you have a weekend to do it?
Yeah, on Sunday.
What was the subject?
It was. Oh no, sorry, it was this genre.
So genre was documentary.
Genre, and you had to get certain lines in there and a prop. So the prop was the umbrella.
Okay.
The genre was documentary, and one of the lines was "I feel great." I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, David, your body couldn't have been more perfect for comedy. Okay. you were the most likable fat I've ever seen you. I didn't know that you looked like that because you look. Not there's anything wrong with fat. Everyone's perfect. We're all the same.
Yeah.
But you had a special comedy body on you.
Okay.
And your fake hand was almost a microcosm, as we're using this term, of your body. It
Right.
looked like you had no bones in you.
Oh wow.
You were just
dude.
You looked 18.
Yeah, that was not that I'm in shape now, but I do exercise pretty much every day. But that was when I was doing nothing.
And I got to tell you something. You're better off getting back there.
Oh, okay.
You looked hysterical. I don't mean your body. I don't mean your body was embarrassingly hysterical.
Just soft.
It's just like it's so.
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
somebody. When you see somebody confidently talking about the way things are, while their body is just should not tap
Yeah.
into that, is fantastic. So that's one of my favorite things I've
Amazing
seen you do.
people, the man with the wobbly hand.
Yeah. And
But it keeps coming back. Like,
yeah, I'd seen it before. That wasn't the first time I'd seen
but
it.
in London, like I've had people kind of come up to me and go, and I always think it's the In-Betweeners, because the In-Betweeners was like the Workaholics for the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I did one episode.
Just very culturally relevant.
Yeah, and everyone was watching it, and I still to this day I get people like almost trolling me on Instagram, and they always just, because the character was called Wolfie. I've got a couple of people on Instagram that every post I make, someone writes Wolfie.
Why are people still seeing that? What's the outlet?
Because it's the kind of thing that people watch over and over and over again.
It's just YouTube, right?
It's on a platform back. It's called E4. People just watch
Gotcha.
it over and over and over again. But I get people coming up to me in London going, "Hey, wobbly hand man," and I'm like, it's just like a little short that we made that no one saw. But then I guess because it's so short, and it was before like the viral content and all that shit. It was like 10 years ago this week.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
I actually didn't bring this up, which I want to, while we're talking about shorts real quick. I made The Sixth Lead, a web series, while we were on Undateable, and there were 5 episodes, and the last episode, I wanted to end it a certain way, and I wasn't quite sure, and you and I spoke for an hour, maybe, and you gave me so many ideas and helped it come to fruition so much. And I've already said this, but there's just so many Sixth Lead fans out there, so I want to publicly acknowledge you were such a huge, big part of that for me and my understanding of what this could be. So thank you. A special thanks was in the credit, but I want to give a special thanks on the podcast with you here. And whenever I'm writing anything, a sketch, a short, a project I'm working on at the moment, you're one of the few people I want to come over and run it by with me because of what you were able to do and how I was able to connect to your ideas on that. So the wobbly hand was just the start for you, but we didn't talk much about you as a writer. You're a fantastic writer, and you have great ideas.
Oh, thanks, man.
And we should have talked a little bit about that, but we're on 2 hours now.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want to give you an excuse. I want to go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's wrap it up.
But we're going to wrap it up by saying that was David Fynn, and it still is, on you live at the Taking Off Your Shoes with Rick Glassman's house. All right? Thank you for your patience.
Finish on that smile.
And we're finishing it on... I'm actually have a good night. I'm gonna step up so I could angle the camera properly, and we're gonna get a little number to sing us out.
Forgotten about it.
2, 3, 4. David Fynn, what's your Instagram? What's your Twitter?
Instagram is David Fynn FY NN at the end, and then Twitter is just David Fynn FY.
Fantastic,
N.
funny stuff. Love a triple N.
Blabbity blue. Scoop D. Oh yeah.